The first thing I noticed when I got home wasn't the quiet. It was the bar napkin, red ink scribbled in rushed handwriting, left next to the empty wine glass she didn't even bother rinsing. Can't wait to see you again. Friday? Winking face, E. She saw me pick it up, and she still smiled. I'm just heading out, she said, sliding past me, heels clicking on the tile like gunshots. Don't wait up. I didn't say a word. Not about the napkin. Not about the wine. Not even about the way her hair was styled exactly like it was in that old photo she swore she deleted, the one with him in it. I just stared at the door after it shut. Not in anger. Not in disbelief. Just in total, soul-deep confirmation. Because I had warned her. I told her, calmly, carefully, more than once, not to see him again. Not to meet up with him for drinks. Not to act like their accidental messages were still harmless jokes. And she promised. Swore. Even cried once. But the napkin said otherwise. And here's the part that really got me. She left her phone. Unlocked. She never does that. And while I should have looked away, turned off the screen, respected what was left of her privacy, I didn't. I tapped the screen and saw the last message still open. Don't worry, he won't do anything. He's all words. Face blowing a kiss. It was from Ezra. The same Ezra I warned her about. The same Ezra she said was just a loudmouth. And that's when it clicked. She didn't forget the napkin. She didn't accidentally leave her phone. She wanted me to see it. She wanted me to break. But what she didn't realize is that I already had. And now? I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't even going to ask her why. Because I was already taking action. And this time, she'd never see it coming. I parked 2 blocks away from the Red Lantern. Not because I wanted to sneak around like some creep, but because I knew if she spotted my car, the whole game would change. And this was a game to her now. A sick, cruel performance where I played the overthinking husband, and she played the amused lead actress, faking sympathy with every lie. I sat there in my truck, engine off, window cracked, watching the entrance like it was the last door before a battlefield. I didn't even have to wait long. At exactly 9:17 p.m., she arrived, hair curled, lipstick dark, that same black coat she wore the night we got engaged. She used to call it her lucky coat. I guess the luck ran out. Then I saw him. Ezra. Taller than I expected. Cocky posture. The kind of guy who probably talks over you in meetings and calls it banter. He didn't open the door for her. She opened it for him. And they both walked in, shoulder brushing shoulder, like this wasn't their first time. I didn't follow them in. That would have been pathetic. I already felt pathetic enough. Hands shaking, breath shallow. Watching the woman I built my life around slip further away from me with every step she took toward him. But this time, I didn't spiral. I didn't panic or text her some desperate "where are you?" message. I didn't even cry. Because tonight wasn't about catching her. It was about exposing the truth. You see, for weeks I'd been collecting things. Not just feelings or suspicions, evidence. Quiet, careful, undeniable truth. Screenshots of late-night Venmo transactions she claimed were for Uber. Receipts from restaurants I'd never been to. Airdropped photos from a shared iCloud album she forgot was still synced to my tablet. And most importantly, voice recordings. Yeah, I know. It sounds insane. But when someone looks you in the eye and lies that cleanly, that effortlessly, you stop trusting the air around you. So I recorded things. Not to use against her, but to remind myself that I wasn't crazy. Like the time I asked her where she was last Thursday, and she said she was at Shelby's bridal shower. Meanwhile, I had a recording of her talking on the phone 2 rooms over, saying, "No, he doesn't know a thing. He just thinks I'm out with the girls." I told myself I'd never use it. But sitting in that truck, watching her disappear into that bar, I knew it was time. I opened my phone. I tapped into a secure folder. And I started uploading every single file to an email addressed to myself, my best friend Ryan, a lawyer, and, yes, even to Marlene. Subject line, since we're all playing games now. But I didn't hit send. Not yet. Because what happened next, I wasn't prepared for. At 10:41 p.m., I saw them exit the bar. Not drunk. Not stumbling. Just comfortable. She was smiling. He had a hand on her lower back like it was his place to do that. And they weren't headed for her car. They were walking straight toward the parking garage across the street. And that's when I finally understood this wasn't emotional. It wasn't some slow, confused fade into temptation. It was planned. And suddenly, so was I? I didn't move right away. I watched them cross the street like they were just two co-workers calling it a night. Only, co-workers don't touch like that. They don't lean into each other while laughing with their heads tilted just enough to brush noses. And they definitely don't hold eye contact that long when stepping into a shadowed parking garage. I should have stayed put. I should have let them go and gone home to pack, or scream into a pillow, or cry into the sink again like last month when she told me she just needed space. But I didn't. I started the truck, turned the headlights off, and crept forward, heart pounding like I'd swallowed a hammer. This wasn't about catching them in the act. It was about breaking a pattern I'd been stuck in for too long, pretending I didn't know, pretending I believed her, pretending she still loved me. I wasn't here to make a scene. I was here to take back whatever small piece of dignity I had left. I parked on the second floor, a level above them, and walked carefully toward the ledge where I could look down over the edge into the level below. And there they were, standing just outside his silver Mercedes, laughing about something I'll never know. Then he kissed her. Quick. Like it was routine. She didn't stop him. She looked around once, then climbed in. I closed my eyes. Everything inside me wanted to scream. But I didn't. I took out my phone and snapped a photo. No flash. No sound. Just a frozen moment of betrayal, time-stamped, geotagged, undeniable. But I wasn't going to use it for revenge. Not yet. Instead, I sent it to her phone. No caption. No explanation. Just the photo. Less than 10 seconds later, I saw the brake lights of the car flare red. Her door opened. She stepped out fast, phone in hand, spinning in circles like she was trying to find where I was. Like a hunted animal. Ezra got out next, grabbing her arm. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I saw her point around, furious, confused, scanning the garage like I'd materialized from nowhere. I quietly slipped back into the stairwell and walked away. That was my moment. No shouting. No gotcha. No pathetic confrontation begging for answers she'd only lie about anyway. She got the message. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't blind. And I wasn't going to wait around to be humiliated again. But what she didn't know was that this photo, that tiny digital cut into her fantasy, was just the beginning. Because while she was trying to erase her lipstick in the rearview mirror, I was already finishing something else back home. A letter. Not to her. Not to Ezra. But to her parents. When I got home, I didn't throw things. I didn't cry. I didn't collapse in the hallway like some broken cliché of a husband on the edge. I took off my shoes. I locked the door. And I sat down at the kitchen table, the same one where we had our anniversary dinner last year, and finished the letter. It was polite. Respectful. Too respectful, maybe. I wasn't trying to destroy her. I wasn't trying to ruin her image in front of her parents. I just wanted her to feel even a fraction of what I felt standing in that parking garage, knowing the woman I built a life with was pressed against another man's car door, kissing him like I never existed. I wrote it all down. No emotion. Just facts. The late-night texts. The weekend work trips. The lunch receipts that didn't match her timeline. The photo I took just hours ago. I attached everything. I addressed it to her father because he was the only person she ever seemed to genuinely fear disappointing. Not her mom. Not me. But her dad, Arthur, who once told me during a fishing trip that loyalty isn't something you tell people you have. It's something you prove when it's hard. It was hard now. I typed his email address and hovered over the send button. And then, before I could press it, my phone buzzed. Incoming call. Arthur. I froze. I swear, I hadn't sent the email. I double-checked. It was still sitting in my drafts. But he called. Hands shaking, I answered. Hello. There was a long pause. Then a quiet sigh. I assume you already know, son. I didn't say anything. She just left here. Said she was staying at a hotel for a few nights. Something about you being too controlling. He let that hang for a second. But her face told a different story. She looked scared. Not of you. Of being caught. I swallowed hard. I didn't send you anything yet. I was going to, but you didn't need to, he said. She slipped. She left her phone open when she ran to the bathroom. I saw the picture you sent her. So that was it. That one image, sent in silence, had done more damage than any screaming match ever could. It reached further than I intended. And somehow, I didn't feel guilty. I'm not calling to defend her, Arthur continued. I'm calling to tell you I'm sorry. And to say, you don't owe her a second more of your life than you already gave. That nearly broke me. But he wasn't done. One more thing, he said. If she tells you she wants to come back, Don't believe the tears. She's been lying to herself longer than she's been lying to you." He hung up before I could respond. I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone. And that's when I realized this wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. I opened a second draft. This time, not a letter. This one was a list. A list of everything I was taking with me before she even realized I was gone. I started packing just after midnight. No music. No dramatic pause. No staring at photos of better days. I moved through the house like a ghost, careful not to disturb anything I wasn't taking with me, because every untouched item would be its own quiet message. I didn't need to leave a note. I was the note. The list I'd written earlier was short, precise. No vengeance, no spite. Just what was mine and what mattered. My grandfather's watch. The antique camera she never cared about. The hard drive with all our financial records. My mother's jewelry box I kept for safekeeping after she passed. And one more thing, the wedding album. Not because I wanted it, but because I knew she would. It sat on the top shelf of our bedroom closet, wedged behind old coats and Christmas decorations. She hadn't touched it in over a year. But I remembered her voice the day it arrived, how she gasped at the gold trim and said, "This is the start of our real story." I took it, not out of sentiment, but out of closure. She could keep the house, the furniture, even the stupid espresso machine I bought her for Valentine's Day, the one she only started using after Ezra said he liked cappuccinos. But I wasn't leaving empty-handed. At 3:14 a.m., I closed the last suitcase and zipped it shut without a sound. I glanced once around the bedroom, at the pillow she always hugged at night, and I felt nothing. Not rage, not sorrow, just a strange, perfect stillness. Like standing in a place where the storm already passed, and all that's left is cleanup. Then I opened my phone. I didn't block her. I didn't delete our photos. I just changed my lock screen, from the beach photo she loved to a black screen with a single white sentence. "You knew what you were doing." So did I? I left my key on the kitchen counter. I locked the door behind me. I didn't slam it, because slamming it would mean I was still hoping she'd hear it. She wouldn't even realize I was gone until late the next day, after she'd sent her obligatory "headed back soon" text and noticed the silence. That the door didn't unlock. That the lights were off. That the charger she always stole from my side of the bed was missing. And then, when she checked her drawer and saw the wedding album gone, only then would the panic set in. But by then, I'd already be 3 states away, somewhere with no shared friends, no shared bank account, no shared stories left to rewrite. She'd call, of course, probably leave voicemails crying, not out of love, but out of shock, because she thought she had time. She thought I'd always wait, but I didn't. I acted. By the time I hit the highway, the sun was creeping up behind me in the rearview mirror like a slow reminder that everything familiar was now behind glass. I drove east with no destination pinned, just a GPS on mute, and my phone flipped face down on the passenger seat, vibrating like it had a heartbeat of its own. She didn't wait long. The first call came at 6:08 a.m., the second at 6:12. By the fifth, she finally left a voicemail. I didn't listen to it. I couldn't. I already knew the script. Confusion first, then anger, then the inevitable panic dressed up as guilt. It was always the same cycle, and for once, I wasn't spinning in it. But it was the 9th call that really got to me. It came in at exactly 7:01 a.m., just as I pulled into a gas station on the edge of nowhere. I checked the screen out of pure habit, and that's when I saw the name Arthur pop up again. Her father. I let it ring. I didn't have the strength for round 2. But then, seconds later, he sent a message. "She knows now. She's hysterical. She told her mom you abandoned her." I told her not to expect sympathy. I exhaled, not because I felt victorious, but because, for the first time in what felt like years, I felt understood. I filled up the tank, grabbed a gas station coffee, and stared at my reflection in the convenience store window. I looked tired, yeah, worn, but also something else, lighter. Like I'd finally dropped a boulder I'd been carrying in silence for too long. When I got back in the car, I did something impulsive. I opened one of her voicemails. Not the first or the third, the 11th. She was crying. I expected that. But it was the kind of cry that didn't sound like pain, it sounded like shock. "Where are you?" she sobbed. "You didn't even let me explain. You just left? Like I meant nothing to you?" I almost laughed. Explain what? That the kisses were mistakes? That Ezra was just lonely? That the photo was out of context? That it didn't mean anything? I was done listening to excuses that unraveled the moment sunlight hit them. So I deleted the voicemail. All of them. Then I blocked her number. Because if she really wanted to talk to me again, if she truly had something worth saying, she'd have to find a way that didn't involve the phone she once used to text him from across our bed. And while she sat on that couch, staring at the spot where I used to sit every night after work, I kept driving. Every mile away from her felt like therapy. Every highway sign was another page of our history being rewritten. But I wasn't running from the pain anymore. I was running toward something better, and I was just about to find it. I checked into a small motel just off Route 76, one of those aging, roadside places with paper-thin walls, buzzing neon signs, and a front desk guy who barely looked up when I handed him my ID. I didn't care. I wasn't there for comfort. I was there to disappear for a while, to figure out what life looked like when no one was asking me to shrink myself. The room was stale, the sheets smelled like bleach, and the shower rattled when it ran, but I felt safer there than I had in my own home for months. I finally slept. Not deeply, not for long, but it was the kind of sleep where you don't wake up instantly worried you've done something wrong just by existing. By the time I opened my eyes again, it was already evening, and I had 36 new notifications. Not from her. Not directly, at least. They were from mutual friends, people we hadn't spoken to in months. Suddenly, everyone had something to say. Questions. Check-ins. Thinly veiled sympathy. One even wrote, "Just wanted to hear your side, since Marlene's been telling people you had some kind of breakdown and ghosted her." I froze. She wasn't just panicking. She was trying to control the narrative. I should have expected it, but I didn't. I underestimated how quickly she'd go from guilt to reputation management. In her world, image always came first, and I had just humiliated her, silently, but thoroughly. So now she was retaliating the only way she knew how, socially. But it was one name on my call log that made my stomach turn: Delaney. Her best friend. Or rather, her enabler. Delaney was calling me now, after months of ignoring me, mocking me behind my back, and giggling with Marlene over how paranoid I always was. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail anyway. I shouldn't have listened. But curiosity cracked me open again. Her voice was cold. Not angry. Not even defensive. "Hey," she said. "You need to calm down. Whatever you're doing, it's making her spiral. I don't know what you think you saw, but Marlene's in a really dark place right now. You should come back. Talk to her. Fix this before you ruin your marriage over a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding? She really had them believing I'd overreacted to nothing. I laughed out loud, sitting alone on a creaky motel mattress, holding my phone like it was a weapon that couldn't quite decide if it was loaded. I didn't call her back. I didn't respond to anyone. Instead, I opened my laptop, connected to the weak motel Wi-Fi, and uploaded everything. Every photo, every receipt, every voice memo, every file I had quietly collected, not out of spite, but out of survival. And I backed it all up, twice. Then I drafted a simple email. Not to Marlene, not to her parents, but to Delaney. No message, no threats, just one single attachment titled, "This is the truth you've been defending." I didn't hit send. Not yet. I wanted her to sweat first, just like I did, night after night, wondering what was real and what was rot. Because now, for the first time, they were the ones unsure of what I'd do next. And I planned to keep it that way. 2 mornings later, I was drinking the worst motel coffee of my life, staring at the same cracked ceiling I'd woken up under twice now. The longer I was away, the clearer everything became. Not just about her, but about me. About how small I'd let myself become in that house. How easily I'd traded self-respect for keeping the peace. She still hadn't stopped. The texts came through now and then from random numbers. Numbers I knew she borrowed from friends or coworkers. Some were long and dramatic, full of sobs and regret. Others were aggressive, accusing me of blindsiding her, or running away like a coward. But none of them said the one thing I needed to hear. I take full responsibility. She couldn't say it. She never would. And that's when I knew I was truly done. Around 10:30 a.m., a car pulled up outside the motel. I peeked through the blinds, half expecting her. But it wasn't Marlene. It was Ryan, my best friend. The one I hadn't spoken to in weeks. The one she had slowly pushed away with subtle jabs, whispering things like, "He doesn't really respect you," or "He's a bad influence." But here he was, I opened the door, not saying a word. He didn't need an invitation. He just walked in, saw the mess, the suitcases, the empty takeout containers, and then turned to me. "About damn time," he said. "I was starting to think you were never going to leave her." I cracked a real smile for the first time in what felt like forever. I didn't think I would either. He handed me a brown envelope. Inside were documents, official ones. A new lease, a P.O. box, the name of a therapist. All arranged. Already. Ryan had done it all quietly after I called him the night I left, even when I told him not to get involved. "I figured you'd need a clean start," he said. "Now you've got one." We sat and talked for hours. No judgment, no pity, just clarity. He reminded me of who I used to be, who I still was underneath the anxiety and the doubt. And later that afternoon, I finally pressed send on the email to Delaney. But not with bitterness, just truth. Because if people were going to talk, they deserved the whole story, not just the version Marlene curated. I checked out of the motel that evening. With Ryan driving behind me in his truck, I pulled into a quiet apartment complex in a new town with no shared memories, no shared whispers, no shared betrayals. Just sunlight on fresh pavement and a small, clean space I could finally call mine. A week later, I got a letter. Not from Marlene, not from her father, from her mother. Short, simple. "You did the right thing. I'm proud of you. Stay gone." That was the last piece I needed. Now, I don't know what Marlene is telling people these days. Maybe that I lost my mind. Maybe that I walked out without a reason. Let her. Because I'm not hiding anymore. Not from her. Not from myself. I got out. I didn't scream. I didn't destroy her. I just walked away, with the truth still intact. And sometimes, that's the best kind of revenge.